Persons listening to this show should experience varying degrees of euphoria and might radiate a warm glow of truth from their entire being. This phenomenon sometimes lasts hours after a typical brain massage. If you are listening with another lights-on listener and they begin to glow, don't be concerned. This is a phenomenon normally associated with Pastor Scheidbach's patented brain massage technique and merely means the truth has set them free. The devil beware. Pastor Scheidbach is on the air.
Hello, I'm Dr. Scheidbach, pastor at the Lighthouse Baptist Church in Santa Maria, California, and your brain masseur. Get ready for your brain massage.
The battle for America is on.
The violent take the kingdom by force. Biden is an angry, violent, and wicked man. He answers rioting and violence of the pro-Palestinian rioters by claiming, well, it's all about free speech. The same people who would censor us would encourage violence and destruction under the guise of protecting free speech? What kind of game are they playing? The mystery movements of Trump's presidential documents. How did these classified documents end up at Mar-a-Lago anyway? You'll be surprised not. Facebook, YouTube, and Amazon testify that they only passed censorship policies because they were threatened by Biden's government. Yeah, it's on record now. Vax alert, what, number 500? How many of these are we going to get? Targeting our children? A new term enters American medical parlance. Turbo cancers. And here's another new expression, Christian nationalism, targeting Christians for genocide. What does unchristian nationalism look like? O'Keefe gives us a peek behind that curtain. It will surely put a fire in your prayer closet. Epoch Times shows an unsettling correspondence between the American church today and the German churches in the 1930s during Hitler's rise to power. They were then silent as the lamb. Okay, my friend, I'm not sure how much of this we'll get through today, but it is time for your brain massage.
Truth. Served here, flavored by delectable wit, delicious sarcasm, succulent sagacity. A gourmet meal for the mind.
The violent take the kingdom by force. Now, I want to show that Biden is an angry, violent, and wicked man. He answers for the rioting and violence of pro-Palestinian rioters by claiming it's all about free speech. That's the mantra of the left today. You know, free speech. They are all for free speech when it's hate speech against the Jews or Christians that they're trying to protect. Otherwise, they think it's an overrated value. I've been hearing some rumblings like that. You know, New York Times, free speech is killing us. Here, I've got links to all this, by the way. Another one from New York Times. America has a free speech problem. Well, we do, but it's not the one they're talking about. That article, much of this sort of thing originates in academia, typically before it filters down into our culture. Here's a scholarly attempt at tapping the brakes on our First Amendment protections. The Moral Discourse of Free Speech, a virtual ethnographic study. In my notes. We're not going to torture you by reading that here. Check the link. It speaks of the problem of free speech in an age of disinformation. As if disinformation is something new? Really? The same people who censor us encourage violence and destruction under the guise of protecting free speech. Joe Biden, whose administration has weaponized the government to silence a political opponent, using bogus criminal charges and a gag order to keep him quiet, promises to protect the free speech of pro-Palestinians? Hey, Mr. Magoo, none of us has a problem with protesting, right? I mean, I'm a 60s kid, and I remember that was a favorite pastime for many. We only have a problem with violence, you know, destroying property or attacking police. Isn't that what you said about the J6 protesters? Protesting's fine. We defend their right to protest, but we draw a line at physical violence and vandalism, right? Suddenly, however, Mr. Magoo or Biden, you can't seem to make that distinction when it comes to the pro-Palestinian protesters. Look at this, a link in my notes, and this, a link in my notes. The violence that's going on. It's obvious that they're protecting the pro-Palestinian protesters because they like what they're saying. They only get angry at protests becoming violent when those protests are against them. So suddenly you can't seem to make that distinction that you were so able to make with J6, right? You get it clearly when an abortion protester blocks access to an abortuary, you know, where they murder babies. But then it's all, you know, drop the hammer of law on them. I mean, to the point where you have a Christian who does this at an abortuary, and some pro-baby killing heckler gets into the face of his kid and starts threatening him. And then he steps in and intervenes. And then, within a few days, a SWAT team shows up at the Christian's home to descend on the father at sunrise, right? But when it's about sending the Jews back to Auschwitz, destroying property, physical violence, well, then it's all about free speech. Be careful here, folks. These people are truly evil. They want to destroy free speech. That's the objective. I know they're trying to protect their agenda and all that kind of stuff, and using the whole ruse of free speech as a way to put us off balance so we can't so easily criticize what they're doing. But no. Look deeper. They know exactly what they're doing. They want you to doubt yourself about free speech. They're trying to destroy that value in American culture. I agree with Bongino. They use our virtues against us. I know that. I've said that years ago. We value free speech, and so they use that as a cover for their violence. Call it free speech, and then, we don't want to position ourselves against free speech now, do we? And I get it. There are some so concerned about how they look to others that all you have to do is call them racist, and they wither away like those snowflakes who find out that the job they interviewed for actually involves working. But only a very few buy into that nonsense. To say the left are idiots, that's too generous. They have enough intelligence to differentiate between riotous behavior and peaceful protesting when it comes to J6 protesters, but suddenly lose that capacity when it comes to Seattle Mayor Durkin's Summer of Love. Remember that? Then they proclaim it mostly peaceful while you're watching a building aflame in the background, police cars burning in the streets, kids throwing firebombs into passing cars, cordoning off entire blocks of a city, and then patrolling their makeshift borders with armed guards. And it's all okay. They can guard their little fiefdom there with weapons, but we can't guard our borders over here at Texas and California and so on. It's too obvious, friends. There's something else afoot. Don't forget Kenosha and Kyle, and rest in peace to the 25 Americans killed during that mostly peaceful protest. You're not fooling me, friend. Every bit of that blood is on your hands, Mr. Biden and the rest of you. Every time you turn your eyes from the destruction of our peace in the name of protecting free speech. But I'm on to you, dudes and dudettes. I'm not buying it. This is not about these wicked leaders actually believing. Even their bobbleheads are so stupid they can't see what's going on. There's something deeper afoot here. You and the rest of the rebellious, violent children of disobedience, you takers of the kingdom by force, you're trying to wear us down, using force to bully us into submission. I think you know exactly what you're doing, trying to beat down the American spirit, to give up on the ideal of free speech. They want to beat us until we let it go. I think you and your ilk hate the First, the Second, the Third, the Fourth, and the Fifth through the 10th Amendments. The Bill of Rights. Every one of these has been targeted in a very specific way by the Obama and then the extension of Obama into the Biden administration of evil. It has never been clearer that this battle that we're engaged in is between the righteous and the wicked. And you are wicked, Mr. Biden. You say the J6 Patriot protesters were dangerous insurrectionists, but the pro-Palestinian protesters are simply asserting their rights of free speech? That's wicked. I mean, give me a break. We know the difference between peaceful protests and violent usurpation, and so do you. You're not fooling us. Tucker's right. This is a spiritual war, and to fail to factor that into understanding what's going on is a big mistake. The spirit behind you, Mr. Biden, Hussein, right? Clinton, Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff, Swalwell, Cortez, Ilhan, Tlaib, Soros, Zuckerberg, and the rest of you. We can throw in Schwab and Harari in the mixer, and then the dark lord puppet masters that control all of you. Look, the spirit behind you is Baphomet, the chaos god. I've got a message from the spirit of King Jesus. I got it straight from the throne of his majesty this morning. And here's the warning to you. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. We let them get away with this in the summer of 2020, used in an effort to disrupt the 2020 election. And now they're using it to disrupt the 2024 election. The border invasion here is ignored when hundreds of billions are sent to protect Ukraine's border with Russia. And one of your dupes, that Democrat Connolly from Virginia, complained that he gets accused of neglecting our own border while sending billions to protect Ukraine's border. And so he tells us the Ukraine's border with Russia is our border. Well, you gotta be kidding me. Why are we sending the stupidest people we can find to represent us in Congress? Well, anyway, but we're not stupid. We know what you're doing, Mr. Biden. We knew all along that the primary reason that you're doing everything in your power to get as many illegals flooding into this country as you can is to secure your power for the Democrats in perpetuity. It's funny in a not so funny way how often it happens that I asked the question here lately. It seems to me that they would be passing out flyers and instructing these illegals to vote for Biden. So just a few days ago, I was thinking about this border crossing ruse and how I'm sure it's about stuffing the ballot box with fake illegal votes. About 20 million have crossed so far, I understand. And that's almost what Biden will need to cover the machine fraud. I mean, it's one thing to hack the machines and flip votes. We all know that can be done. It's been proved. And we know it has been done. That's also been proved. They have to cover those votes with paper ballots. So they need inflated voter rolls and a whole lot of people who will use their fake ballots to stuff the boxes with Biden votes. That's a little bit trickier. So let's go 100% with mail-in balloting, right? Do you realize when these Democrats go all in for mail-in balloting, it is because they know that it facilitates voter fraud and ballot harvesting too. These things were examined back in the Carter years. I was here then, and it was declared by the Democrats, I said Democrats, that it's a bad idea because it opens the door to massive fraud. But when the machines became popular and Republicans and Democrats alike learned they could buy a close race through manipulation of the machine count and some fake balloting. Well, the system became corrupted, and now you've got Republicans all in for ballot harvesting, right? But look, here's the problem, friend. You're not playing against people who, play by any kind of rules at all. There are no rules on the left. None. Are you ready to harvest ballots? Trash them. I mean, I'm talking about my Republican friends. Are you ready to harvest ballots, trash them, and then replace them with fake ballots prepared by illegals? Because that's what they're going to do. The RCM Resource Center Matamoros, however you say it, it's a non-governmental organization organized by Democrat Party operatives, no doubt. This one is distributing flyers in Mexico to illegals who are preparing to cross our border, and the flyer instructs them, don't forget to vote for Biden. Excuse me? Now, here's a picture of the flyer. It's in my notes. You'll have to download those from our website. A citizens group called the Oversight Project took photos of these flyers, posted along the route set up by Soros and his friends, along the route to the borders. They found them posted inside toilet stalls, put there for the crossers. It's in Spanish, and it tells crossers to remember to vote for Biden. This humanitarian, I'm doing air quotes, NGO is campaigning for Biden by encouraging illegal aliens to break our laws in yet another way and vote in this 2024 election. This is election interference at a level of conspiracy to commit fraud. We need to know who funds this group and which Democrat operatives are involved. All right, I need to take a break, my dear friends. Hold on, I'll be right back. My dear friends, I want to introduce Chris Cucchiera. He's called Coach.
What gives me the credibility as the leading voice on the Central Coast for health, fitness, and wellness? In the late 70s, early 80s, my entree into health and fitness was competitive bodybuilding. During my bodybuilding days, I learned so much about nutrition because our bodies maintain muscle and get down to 3 to 4% body fat. And when you go through that kind of training, you have to be very scientific in what you eat, and the nutrition you take in and what you don't take in. And then after I got out of bodybuilding, I started working with people in general overall health. And because of what I learned in my bodybuilding days about the human body, science about nutrition, and how to really take somebody from a stay-at-home mom that just had a baby to an elite athlete, I was helping everybody there and in between. Nothing beats real-life experience. I've probably worked with over 10,000 people in the last 40 years and have really helped them experience breakthrough in all areas of their life.
Call the coach. Dial 805-202-2077. Dial 805-202-2077.
The devil beware. Pastor Scheidbach is on the air.
Well, hello and welcome back. I'm Dr. Scheidbach, pastor at the Lighthouse, your brain masseur, and Paul Revere's lantern lighter, lighting the lamps of the church belfry arch, signaling the enemy is on the march, an enemy that would steal from us our liberties. Anti-Semitism is anti-Christ. I have a great friend who, among many honors, holds championships in Kung Fu, and I believe he holds the record for the highest kick. And right now he's putting some Kung Fu moves on the liberals with his poetry as American poet. He's on the Arizona GOP committee helping with the upcoming MAGA election. He's all about Make America Great Again. He sent this poem, a reflection on Israel. And I've said so long as there is any genuine Christians here, Israel will never be without a friend. Here's one of his latest poems. He's Andrew St. Wilson, and the poem is, There is coming a day. There is coming a day. God's going to shake the world. Nations have forgotten to pray. Nations have gone astray. Called to favor the chosen few, one was selected to bless the Jew. Our 45th president wasn't hesitant. In Jerusalem, built a U.S. embassy for all the world to see. Rulings of this world bind men to speak. Courts of justice become injustice. Decrees of men are ever so weak. There's coming a day God will speak. The nation of Israel is not alone. He who reigns is still on the throne. I will bless them that bless you. Curse the one who curses you. His eyes always upon the Jew. There is coming a day when they come against the Jew, will make Jerusalem a burdensome stone. They are never alone. He shall destroy nations against Jerusalem, ignoring what the God of Israel has to say. Big mistake, oh my, there is coming a day. Andrew St. Wilson, thank you, friend. American poet, American patriot. You can get his book from our bookstore. Go to books@dbp.com. It's not an email address, by the way. Write out the word at, books@dbp.com. The mystery movements of Trump's presidential docs. How did these classified documents end up at Mar-a-Lago anyway? Well, Dinesh assembled a quick guide to the evidence compelling us to conclude the raid on Mar-a-Lago was orchestrated by the Biden administration. And I'm convinced it was a setup right from the beginning. We know Biden went into office with a plan to destroy all the good Trump's administration did for this country. And together with his globalist friends, he set to work to finish what Obama started. And Hillary hoped to complete the total capitulation of America to the globalist agenda. But she was surprised by the rise of Hillary's deplorables. Obama's God and gun-clinging Americans, the ones who still believe in good old-fashioned God and country patriotism, the people who love America and still despise godless communism, and dictators like Xi, Putin, the Ayatollahs, and the rest of them, and Biden and Obama and all of them. They would sell us out to the highest bidder. With them, it's always America last, and they'll sell your freedom and liberty to make themselves literally filthy rich. Don't be fooled. God never makes this stuff complicated. He really does. He puts it right in front of you. Just so many are not willing to see it. For all the smoke they blow in your face about Trump's mean tweets, what nonsense. These people are the most wicked, mean people you'll ever meet. Here's a billionaire who never took a dime for his service in the White House while he was president. And then these yahoos go into office and somehow they turn a $175,000, $200,000 a year job into millions paid to them by CCP operatives. That's the Chinese Communist Party, and bilking the American people for billions, siphoning off all this money going to Ukraine. Watch out. Watch out. It's going to come out. He gave us 4 years of no wars, and they've given us nothing but wars and rumors of more. He was bringing our own border under control, but they've turned our border into a literal invasion of sex traffickers, facilitating drug trafficking, wide open to fentanyl, and it's killing our kids. His politics built a strong economy, while they've given us $7 a gallon gas and inflation with stagnation, which is the worst. Friend, I read somewhere in the Bible that it's by their fruit that you know them. What comes of their policies. And what we know from the fruit is that Democrat policies are poison and MAGA policies are the cure. Okay, take a look at the evidence that this whole classified documents thing was orchestrated by the Biden administration. First, the Biden administration's DOJ was in communication with the National Archives outfit, working out how they could set Trump up on charges for mishandling classified documents. Now, I got the documentation here. He had some at Mar-a-Lago, at one of the most carefully guarded facilities in the world, with 24/7 surveillance, all kinds of security. He was president and had access to these documents. Biden took possession of classified documents illegally while vice president, and he had them spread out all over the place, including his garage. And that's not a problem? But how did the classified documents end up at Mar-a-Lago? You probably assume Trump boxed them up and carried them out there, right? Second, Merrick Garland lied when he said the investigations into Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents was conducted with complete independence from Biden interference. Well, my friend, unsealed documents now reveal, quote, early collaboration between National Archives and the Biden White House. Yeah, end quote. Biden's White House counsel asked to be kept, quote, in the loop, end quote, on progress as then head of National Archives Records Administration, David Ferrero, collaborated with Biden's Department of Justice to work out a way to entrap Trump on a made-up crime of classified documents abuse or charges. At the same time, Biden aides were trying to figure out what to do with memos that surfaced revealing Biden kept classified documents he illegally took at his University of Pennsylvania Biden Center office in Washington. What? And three, Dinesh tells us that recent revelations show that the Department of Justice was even giving National Archives some direction on how to cover up the collaboration. And then four, the Department of Energy discovered that Trump had an active security clearance after leaving the White House. So what do? They retroactively canceled it in order to dispute Trump's claim that he continued to have it, for some specified time after he left the White House. And man, they've gone into overdrive trying to hide this. That was a snafu for them. And now five, here's the latest. A witness testifies that after the Trump administration ended, the GSA, that's the General Services Administration, took a bunch of boxes from the White House and stored them in Virginia. Now, why send them to Virginia? And then they were instructed to forward these documents, marked classified, by the way, to Mar-a-Lago. Investigative journalist Julie Kelly reported, quote, an FBI agent says GSA was holding a large quantity of Trump's boxes in Virginia and then was ordered to ship them to Mar-a-Lago. Now, all of that suggests the whole thing was a setup. These setups were going on throughout Trump's administration. O'Keefe reveals from a hidden camera sting operation on a CIA insider that the CIA's executive leadership were collaborating and conspiring to keep intel from Trump. Now, folks, that's treason. And I've got the O'Keefe video linked right here. You can take a look at it. Now, Facebook, YouTube, and Amazon testify that they only passed censorship policies because they were threatened by Biden's government. And I've got the link here. I will not be able to take time with that. I'll touch on it Saturday night. Biden is a wicked and evil man, as I conclude, an operative serving a wicked and evil agenda that is contrary to America's interests. No wonder they cringe and go apoplectic when someone wears a MAGA hat. A new term has entered American medical parlance, turbo cancers. Malone exposes the discovery of an ingredient in the vaccine that contributes to this new phenomenon. New papers come out that might help explain the rise of turbo cancers. And this expression is used to identify an aggressive cancer that has suddenly exploded among an unexpected demographic, the young. The mRNA genetic vaccines all contain pseudouridine, and Dr. Malone believes this could be accelerating cancer growth. Now, here's a heartbreaking testimony of a young victim of gender dysphoria. She lays it all out, the confusion, the one-sided counsel she received, the mutilation of her body, the realization it was a terrible mistake, and then being confronted with the reality, the realization she can never go back or get back what was robbed from her. And I have a link to a video of her testimony right here. Let's finish with a look at Christian nationalism. Targeting Christians for genocide. What does unchristian nationalism look like? Christian nationalism, is it code for targeting Christians for genocide? And that starts by demonizing Christians in every culture where it's happened. But that won't work in the United States. They borrow a page from the Soviet playbook and create a subset of Christians that they can demonize. In this case, a subset called Christian nationalists. Now, here's one guy making out that what's going on in Hungary is evidence of Christian nationalists promoting genocide. Now, Hungary is openly a Christian nation, no doubt about that. Other nations consider themselves Christians also, like Poland. But it's not the same thing to say American Christian nationalism is the same thing as Hungary or Poland. Here's an American Christian author that I like, actually, who refers to Hungary as Christian nationalists. I searched for any document supporting the claim that Hungary identifies as Christian nationalists. I'm aware they openly identify as Christian nation, and I suppose one could assume that means that they are Christian nationalists, but why pick that particular expression to make the point he's making in this article? It's like confusing Islamic fundamentalism with Christian fundamentalism. The only correspondence is in the word fundamentalist. The fundamentals of Islam are practically opposite of the fundamentals of the Christian faith. Anyway, here's the article. Linked in my notes. You can read it for yourself. I don't have time right now to examine the issue, but I will. And if it's true that Hungary is supporting genocide against anyone, well, I'll oppose that. I don't expect to discover that's what's going on. It's like examining the issue of the Crusades. When you look close and see the outrageous abuses Christians were suffering at the hands of the Islamists, you find out it's a complicated matter. I don't agree with the Crusades, but it's not as easy. It's not cut and dried. Much of the problem resembled what happened in Texas with Santiago, but we don't have time to go into that right now. My point is, I don't know why Hungary is supporting Azerbaijan in that conflict, or even if they are, quite frankly. I assume this guy wouldn't say they were if they weren't, but I'll examine that issue later. Here's my concern. The author is usually quite discriminating and I think honest. Why would he not look more carefully at the nuance of identifying genocide with the expression Christian nationalism at this juncture? Why Christian nationalism? Why not Hungary, an avowed Christian nation, supporting Azerbaijan raises concerns? I know, something like that. Why associate this with that particular expression when he must know that American Christian nationalism is in no way connected with genocide? It appears that disparagement against Christian nationalism is intended to identify Christians in a subgroup as political terrorists intent on taking over America and denying constitutional rights to the American people, when the exact opposite is true. God is, however, on our side. He exposed the heart of the unchristian nationalists when Heidi revealed it's a division between those who think our rights come from God as opposed to those who think they come from man. Now, my point is, as I conclude, what does non-Christian nationalism look like? You're looking at it. You see it in the Democrat Party and in the current administration occupying the White House. The nearest thing we've seen to a Christian nationalist kind of movement has been at least certain aspects of the MAGA movement. Now, I've run out of time, so I'm going to have to discuss this more fully Saturday night during Brain Massage Live at 8 p.m. Also, I'll be touching on this in my pulpit this Sunday. My friend, God is on his throne. His remnant is under his wings. Our mission and message remain the same, and our hope is real. So be patient, patriots. Justice is coming. I've lit the lamps to the Church Belfry Arch. You let me know you see they're on. Email me by going to our website at brainmassage.net. Find the contact button and send me an email. You can leave a message for me on our listener response hotline. Dial 1-805-314-2114. God bless you. God bless America. And I'll see you in church.
Go to godswar2020.com.